So I bet like the last thing you were expecting to see today was a podcast episode, especially since I had a podcast that I had canceled, quote unquote, but I just thought it was its time to end. So I'm pretty sure the last thing you were expecting to see from me today was a new podcast starting up with an episode one and everything. So if you guys are new here, hello. I just want to introduce myself real quick and then we're gonna actually get into this episode because we have not a lot to talk about, but I did want to like do a little introduction of myself, of my book, and then also what you guys can expect with this podcast. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Hello, my name is Madison Hall, and I am an author. I wrote the book The Ruined Royals. It is a clean YA fantasy novel that I wrote, and it took me about 3 years to write the book. That is my plaque right there. And then this is my book right here. Oh my gosh, it's right here. You guys can't really see it. This is the bedazzled version. But yes. Now, I did want to also quickly address this mess going on behind me. I am redecorating my bookshelves, which means I am getting rid of a lot of books. So these just happen to be the books that I'm getting rid of. I'm literally like almost done. My bookshelves have never been this empty, but I'm almost done. These are like the last books that I have to put on my Depop, which if you guys want any of the books that I'm selling and getting rid of, they're on my Depop. Link in the description as always. But just a little shameless plug right there. But yes, my name is Madison Hall and I am an author. It took me 3 years to write my book, and I've been writing other novels. I have another book coming out May 1st called Broken Past. So when it comes to this podcast, we're going to be talking a lot about writing. So you guys know your girl got you. I've been writing for a while, and I have, at this point, I can say multiple novels released because it's not just one anymore. It's about to be two in about 2 months. So I'm really excited for that too. Um, in this podcast, we're really going to talk a lot about writing, writing techniques, controversy when it comes to writing, and also there are going to be some episodes where I kind of help you learn how to write and format and talk about and promote your books. We're going to have a lot about that. So I just want to say, like, stay tuned, like, put your seatbelt on, be comfortable. Like I said, this episode can be very, very short because it's really just an introduction to me, an introduction to the podcast, so it's nothing that we're really hitting on and talking about today. So before we even dive a little deeper, I did want to tell you guys a little bit about my books. You guys kind of see where all my writing went for the past 3 years. Okay, so The Ruined Royals is a clean YA fantasy, as I've said like 3 times already in this episode, but it is a fantasy mystery with a mystery subplot, I guess you could say, and is about two relatives. One who is named Valentina, who has lived on the streets for the entirety of her life, or at least for as long as she can remember, and she has the power to talk to animals and communicate with them. Like, sometimes she just be vibing with them for real. And then we also have Amira, who has not like who's not rich, but she's well off. She has a home, she has a family, and she is able to wield, control, and ignite fires, which I thought would be a very cool kind of thing to include in the book, so that way you kind of see how their powers differ, especially since animals and fire, they don't really go that well together. But the book explores a lot of themes of jealousy and also being strong when you think you don't have it in you, which I think I can and a lot of people can relate to as well. There's been a few reviews of my book, and I would say, based off the reviews that have been given to this novel, that it would be something that is quick and easy, and it's a good read. So I didn't even explain to you guys the actual plot yet. We just got into the characters, but it is about these two relatives, like I've said, and they move into the castle after finding out they are both related to the royal family. But upon like arriving that same very night, they find out that there is a curse over the castle and that the guards want them dead. Like, it is game over. So these two, who are the only ones who are not being brainwashed and manipulated by the guards and the family and the curse, are teaming up so that way they can defeat the curse, break it, and they can also defeat the tension that has been in this castle for decades upon, like, not even decades but centuries in this castle. So it's really up to them to save not only themselves but also their family. Yeah, I love pitching my book. It's so fun. It's so fun. But that is it, really. And now getting back to this podcast, I already have a lot of the episodes for this podcast kind of like planned out. Like, I already know what I want to do and what I want to talk to you guys about in this podcast. It's going to be very fun. We're going to have a good time, guys. I promise we are. Um, I have also made like some plans. I hopefully, no guarantees, but I really want to interview a few other authors, get their opinions on some things. I would love to share writing tips with you and writing for different genres and how to format your book and how to promote your book. We definitely will have an episode where we talk about promoting your book, because I know that's one of the hardest things when it comes to writing, which is actually publicity and getting your book out there, and also kind of getting a fan base and a following. I actually own a company who actually does all this stuff for you guys. So if that's something that you don't want to struggle with or handle, just check the Instagram down below for Pink Rocket, and you guys can actually follow me over there. And we are soon going to be opening up for people to ask me to edit videos, make thumbnails, kind of do all the publicity stuff. And all you have to do is just click the post, and like I'll even make a caption for you, but all you have to do is just copy paste the caption and click post, and it'll be done in a jiffy for you. I know you guys are probably like, girl, you have been plugging us with all these different things you got going on, but I'm actually like being genuine, because that's what Pink Rocket was made for. It was made to help people who don't want to do like the publicity side of their small business or their influencing. So I just think that's like something really cool that I wanted to talk about real quick. But yes, we're going to talk about publicity in case you want to do the publicity on your own, but you just don't know how. We're going to have an entire episode where we just talk about that. We will also have an episode where we talk about formatting and writing and all of the fun stuff that people may have when they are just becoming a first time author, because that is some of the most difficult things to cover when it comes to writing, because it's hard. If you guys want to just go ahead and give a preview, because when I say preview, it's like not in depth, but it's more like a touching base on the simplistics. I have a video on my channel called How to Start Writing Your Book. But when we do the podcast, these will be individual episodes for individual topics that maybe you guys have questions on, or things that I think was something that was difficult for me and that I think could help all of you. So we will have more in-depth episodes on certain topics when it comes to writing a book, publishing your book, and so that way it's more in-depth, so it's like practically like smooth sailing for you guys, because I like to say that I went through all the troubles and the confusions when it came to writing my book, so that way other people could have the easier end of it, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what this podcast is. It's my way of guiding you and helping you guys be like, okay, well, this is obviously what we need to do here in this situation, because it's the easier side of things. And I watched the episode of the podcast, and now I know, okay, this is what I have to do. With that being said, that is the end of this podcast episode, and I cannot wait to see you guys in episode 2. I did want to preface this by saying there will not be a dedicated podcast upload kind of schedule. I will just upload the podcast episodes whenever I get the chance to, because I film other content for this channel and a lot of different topics for said channel. So these episodes just come out whenever I have the chance to go, because like I said, in depth, which means these videos will probably be like 20 to 30 minutes long each, maybe up to an hour for some episodes probably, and other videos don't take me as long to make, so I have to make sure that I get that content out for you guys, because right now at the beginning of the year I said I was going to try and post whenever I wanted to, but my goal is to post every day and not post Sundays. So it's like every day except for Sunday, so I don't have the time to just be piling, so it's kind of like I film my shorter videos first, and then I can film the longer ones, and so that way those can be scheduled for you guys. So don't just be here and be like, okay, we're gonna get an episode every such and such for the podcast. The podcast has no dedicated upload like day schedule time or anything. I post all my videos at 11 o'clock in the morning EST, so if you guys think you are getting an upload for the podcast, it will be at that time, but there is no dedicated day or week that a podcast episode will be uploaded. The only guaranteed time would be 11 a.m. EST on a certain day, but that's for all of my videos. So there's no like I said, guaranteed thing that you'll be getting an episode every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Monday, because that's not how this is gonna work. I'm just gonna upload podcast episodes whenever I have the time to make them, whenever the time to edit them and make the thumbnails. Not to mention I also have to plan the episodes beforehand and plan what I'm going to talk about in my topic, so that's also coming into play when it comes to this. So just keep that in mind. Like, don't be bombarding me in my comments like, when's the next podcast episode, because I want to know when and I want to know how to It will be coming out, but you guys have to give me a chance, because these podcast episodes, especially when I did my other podcast, were a little difficult. Now, speaking of the other podcasts, I would prefer if you guys didn't go looking for it, because especially the very first season was kind of corny, not gonna lie. But if you guys do, I would just recommend the last season we did, because that's where I talked more about writing. It's not as in depth as this podcast is going to be, but it actually hits the surface. And I believe there is an episode on formatting your book, but I've learned how to format my book better since then. But if you guys want to format it the way that it was formatted in that episode, then it is up there on the podcast. So just go check it out. But with that being said, that's the end of this video. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and notification bell so you guys have an FMS video. Make sure you guys follow me on both my Instagrams. I love you guys so much, but Jesus loves you more, and I'll see you guys next time. Kisses, mwah, and goodbye.